Yeah, what is OOPS?
It is just a programming language that uses the object-oriented concepts,
Mm-hmm. Right, OOPS stands for
classes and
Object-oriented
methods.
programming. Object-oriented programming.
S stands for
System.
okay. So somebody will say object-oriented programming structure. Somebody will say object-oriented programming system. Somebody will say object-oriented programming synapse. Finally, OOP means object-oriented programming. So first of all, we have to understand one thing. Programming, right? Programming approaches are two types. Programming approaches are two types. Already I have explained about this in the long back, whether you remembered or not. One is procedural,
It's
procedural oriented, procedural oriented approach. Second one is object oriented approach. Programming approaches are two types. Number one is procedural oriented approach. Number two is object oriented approach. Right. So, did you remember about this, which we discussed at the time of base class libraries? At the time of we are discussing base class libraries, on the day I have explained very clearly about this. Programming approaches are two types. Number one, procedural oriented approach. Number two, object oriented approach. Right. Anybody can explain about procedural oriented approach which we discussed?
Yes, sir. The
Yeah.
procedural oriented approach is a collection of methods
Hmm.
and where the execution goes from one method to the other method and that has certain drawbacks. Because of that, we went to the object oriented approach.
In procedural oriented approach, your program is a collection of methods, procedures. Procedure is nothing but method. In procedural oriented approach, your program is a collection of methods, procedures or methods or functions. Both are same. So for example, I am writing a structure of procedural oriented approach. Procedural oriented approach program structure I am showing you. First, let's say M1, let's say M2, M1. M1 is a procedure or method which will contain some logic. Here. M1 is a method name and this is called signature part. Generally signature will contain per method and it is called method block. It is called method block which will contain some logic which will have some functionality. Next coming to M2 and which will have some logic and finally it is a collection of procedures or methods. It will contain a function called main. Main is a program execution entry point and end point. And main method will have like what can I say? Main method is a entry point for this program. Means whenever you want to whenever you run this program, it will start from main method. So here we have to call the functions M1, M2. The role of the main is similar like main door for our house. Whenever we construct a house, it will contain multiple doors, but one door is called main door. Similarly, here, whenever you run this program, your program execution starts by main method. For example, if you run this application, program execution, first it will start main method and within the while executing main will call M1, control will go to M1 and will execute, again come back. then it will call M2 and it will execute and it will call, right? Okay, so with this we can say, and once it is encountered the program, encountered the closing brace of this, then it will understand main method execution or program execution is completed. So that is the story about procedural oriented approach. A programming language which will follow this approach, that programming language is called procedural oriented programming language. Have you seen this approach in any of programming languages which you studied in your academics?
C
C.
language.
C.
Language.
Yes. C will follow this approach. Your C language will follow this approach. So that's why C language is called procedural oriented programming language. Due to the some limitations of this approach, so industry experts are introduced a new approach. That new approach is called object-oriented approach. That new approach is called as object-oriented approach. In object-oriented approach, yeah, what will happen? In object-oriented approach, program is a collection of classes. So if you want to write program, that program should be represented in the form of classes. Here class is one of the object-oriented programming concept. Class is one of the object-oriented programming concept, and class is a collection of, let us assume, collection of methods. Let's assume at present collection of method. Method is nothing but again procedure. In this approach, if you want to define a method, you should define within the class. So let's try to understand this object-oriented programming approach. So let's check the object-oriented programming structure or skeleton. Let's take a program, right? C1, class C1. Again, C1 contain a method called M1. Let us assume M1 contains some logic. M1 contains some logic. Again, M2 contains some logic. M2 contains some logic. Finally, you can observe here your C1 class contain. If you want to define a class, we should use a keyword called class. C1 is a class name. Open brace to close brace is C1 class block. In that you define two methods, M1 block, M2 block, two methods. And in this approach also, program execution starts by main method. That main method we have to define in separate class. Let's assume it is there in the C2 class. In C2 class, we have a method called main. In C2 class, we have a method called main. Whenever you want to invoke any method, we have to invoke class name dot method name. Class name dot method name. Class name dot method name. Okay. So now same. That is the story. Finally, in this program, you can observe there are how many classes we have?
Two classes.
Two classes. One is C1 which contain two methods M1 and M2. Another one is C2. C2 contain a method called main. Here also the role of the main is, you go any programming approach, main method role will be same. That is, whenever we construct a house, that house may have multiple doors, but one door is called main door. So that main door importance is entry, exit, and control. Control means suppose a postman came. Postman will stand in front of your main door and he will press the bell. Okay, so that is the importance of this main door. Nobody will come to this side. Okay, so with this we can say program execution starts by main, controlling by main. Controlling means calling by main, and stop by main. Whenever you run this program, execution engine will call first main method. and it will start the execution here. C1.m1. Whenever you want to call your method, class name dot method name. C1.m1, then immediately control will go to M1 method, will execute, will come back. Next C1.m2, again control will go to M2, will execute and come back. Once it is encountered the closing brace of the main method, then main method execution is completed. Main method execution is completed, means program execution is completed. So anywhere have you seen this approach, any programming language?
Yes, sir. Everything
Java,
duplicated.
Java,
C++,
Java, C++ and
Java,
a
C
programming
Sharp.
language, which will follow this approach. That programming language is called as object-oriented programming language. In your academic might you have seen C++ and Java will follow this approach. Due to that reason, they are called object-oriented programming languages. Similarly, our C#.NET is also following the same approach. Due to that reason, C#.NET is called as object-oriented programming language. C#.NET is an object-oriented programming language. Due to that reason only, today we are going to discuss about a concept called OOPS. We're going to discuss about a concept called OOPS. So now let's try to understand about object-oriented programming principles. So if you want to get recognized, your language is object-oriented language that should follow the some couple of principles. Those principles are called OOPS principles. Those principles are called OOPS principles. OOPS principles, object-oriented programming principles are mainly four. They are, any idea, OOPS principles? They are, number one,
Encapsulation,
encapsulation, abstraction, inheritance,
Abstraction,
polymorphism.
inheritance,
inheritance,
polymorphism.
polymorphism.
In the time I'm sure about that, might you have done academic might you have seen all these terminologies, but just I'm sure you know only definitions of this. Now in this 10 days, in this 20 to 25 hours, I will show you the in-depth of these concepts, challenging that you can discuss with any Java 10 years guy, 5 years .NET guy. .NET and Java both are object-oriented concepts, are almost all same. You can discuss with anybody. I'm sure they will say you are the best in OOPS. Whenever you are attending interviews also, 70% of the interviews questions will be on OOPS only. That's why I'm telling you, whatever you know, whatever you have seen in books also, all are just definitions and just syntaxes, examples. But I have done a lot of research on this concept. I have written my own content on OOPS, and it has, like anything you see, today onwards you will see what is OOPS. Right. Now, these are all called object-oriented programming principles, means a programming language which will follow these principles. The programming language is called object-oriented programming language. So C#.NET will follow C#.NET will follow the above four principles. Okay, C#.NET will follow above four principles. Due to that reason, C#.NET is called object-oriented programming language. Now our duty is we have to prove all these principles in C#.NET end of this 10 days. By that we can finalize that C#.NET is object-oriented programming language. And to achieve the above four principles, every object-oriented programming language will follow below two concepts. To achieve the above four principles, every object-oriented programming language will follow below two concepts. Number one is class, number two is object. To achieve the above four principles, every object-oriented programming language will follow two concepts. Most of the people will say class and objects are principles of object-oriented programming language. Only these four are the principles, and these two are the concepts which we will use to achieve these 4 principles. Right, let's start with the class. Let's start with class. Yeah, class is a, just now we discussed about class. Class is a one of the object-oriented programming concept. Class is a collection of states and behaviors. Class is a collection of states and behaviors. Collection of states and behaviors. To define class, we have to use class keyword. Class keyword. Then what is state? What is a state? Any idea?
State is a
which I will pick a value.
What is state? Yes.
the
State,
variable.
state is nothing but a field,
Field or the variables.
which represent some value. State, no doubt, state is a member of a class, and state is nothing but a field which represent a value. Like state is a field which represents some value. Now you can say A is a state which represents some value. Whenever you want to represent a value, you will use a concept called state. Okay. Now these states are two types. Number one, variables. Number two, constants. Number one, variables. Number two is what? Constants. Number one, variable. Number two, constants. State is nothing but a field which represents some value. These states are two types. Number one, variables. Number two, constants. Variable nothing but variable nothing but variable is a field. Variable is a field which represents some value that can be changed. Coming to the constant is a field. Constant is a field. What is that again? You know about all this. Then
Changeable entire program.
That cannot be
Changed.
that can't be changed. Constants is a field which represents a value that cannot be changed. Just to remember about this. Okay, right. Now, yeah, next to this is about states. Next we said what? Behavior. What is that? Behavior. What is behavior?
The method or the logic which we write.
Yes. Behavior is nothing but method. Behavior is nothing but it can be called as method or function. A block which contains some logic which is executable is called behavior. And no doubt behavior is also a member of a class. Okay. So finally we understood one thing. Class is nothing but for some time we will take state is nothing but present. Constants will come in future. Up to that, we will keep like that. State is nothing but variable. Behavior is nothing but method. Make it simple. Finally, what is the syntax to define a class? What is the syntax to define a class?
Use the keyword class
Let me,
and
let me show you.
writing it
Access
for the
modifier,
class program.
class, and access modifier, class name, and it will contain here states, nothing but variables. Next, behaviors, methods. Okay. Access modifier, class name, open the brace, close braces, class block. What is access modifier? Public, private, protected, internal, and so on will come in future. Here class is a keyword. Class name is user defined. Suppose you are defining the behaviors and states of employee, then class name is employee. It is related to students. Class name is student. Like it is a user defined and class is a keyword. This is a syntax to define a class. But it may contain what? Variables. It may contain what? Methods. Now we need to understand about variable and method right now very clearly. For example, let's discuss one by one. When we will go for state, nothing but variable. When we will go for state, nothing but variable. Answer is whenever we want to represent some value, we will go for what? State. Whenever we want to represent some value, we'll go for what? State. For example, you want to represent a person age. For example, you want to represent a person age. We'll go for a concept called variable. Age. Variable. Nothing but what? State. State. Next, when we will go for method. When we will go for method. Means whenever you want to write a program, when we will go for method. Come on.
Whenever we have
To
logic,
define the logic,
whenever
we
we
go
want to define action,
Yeah,
some
whenever
we
we
got
want to define some functionality, we will go for method. For example, here I said I want to represent a person age. Person age I want to store. I want to represent. Represent means what? I want to represent. The field should have some value called age. Then I'll go for what? State. Here I have a requirement. I want to calculate a person age based on his date of birth to today date. Then what I need? I need logic. To define this logic, we need a method, a concept called method like cal age. I will define a method called cal age. Here I will write the logic. The logic will calculate the person age based on his date of birth to today's date. Did you understand? Or else,
yeah.
I want to calculate a student 3 subject marks. A student result. Cal result. So here I will write lot of logic. Is first subject, second subject, third subject marks, total marks, next average marks. Okay. Next to based on average marks, I will finalize is first class or second class or third class or fail. Finally, you are writing a lot of logic. To represent the logic, you need a block. That block is nothing but
Method.
method. That block is nothing but method. In this way, whenever you are defining a class, how you will take it as a decision as a state, how you will take a decision of method to represent a value, will go for variable. to represent a logic or functionality, we have to define it as a method. Okay, that is the story about. Finally, we understood what to achieve object-oriented programming principles. We have to use two concepts. Number one, class. Number two, object. Class is a collection of states and behaviors. To define a class, we have to use class keyword, and yeah, it may contain state and behavior. State is nothing but variable and behavior is nothing but method. And whenever we want to define a class, the syntax is access modifier. This concept will come after 2-3 days. It can be public, private, protected, like that. Class is a keyword. It is a name of the class. It is a block which contains states and behaviors. When we will go for state, whenever we want to represent some value and the value can be changed. Let's say whenever we want to represent a value, for example, I want to represent age, go as state. When we will go for method, whenever we want to represent some functionality. Whenever we want to represent some functionality, we'll go for method. For example, I want to calculate a person age based on his date of birth to today date. Then we'll go for a method called calage. I want to calculate a person result based on his 3 subject marks. I'll go for a method called cal result. That's it. Okay, now let's discuss about in deep about variables. Types of variables. Types of variables. Okay, types of variables. 1 second. So in C#.NET, we have 3 types of variables. In C#.NET we have 3 types of variables. 3 types of variables. Right. Few, are you getting my voice? No. Few.
Just now, I was lost. The audio was lost.
Huh? How long you lost the audio?
Yeah,
How long? How
for
long?
a few minutes.
No, 1 minute I think. Local variables. I was mute now. Local variables. Next instance variables. Next static variables. Static variables. C#.NET has 3 types of variables. Number 1, local variables. Number 2, instance variables. Number 3, static variables. First we need to understand in depth of this. Coming to local variables, already we are working with these local variables. Already. Now we have to understand instant and static, but let's recall what is a local variable. Are we working or not?
Yes, sir. Within the method when we declare it.
A variable which is declared
Yes,
within
defined.
the inside the method.
Yes.
A variable which is declared inside the method is called local variable. A variable which is declared inside the method is called local variable. Okay. What about instance variable? If you tell me what is local variable? Few. What is local variable? Variable
A variable which is declared inside the method.
inside the method is called
And
local.
I think we can use it for multiple methods.
Okay, that is called a local variable. Coming to instance. Here instance is nothing but object. Instance is nothing but object. That we'll see. What is object we'll see, but up to that you remember. A variable which is declared, about instance variable I am explaining. A variable which is declared inside the class and outside the method. A variable which is declared inside the class and outside the method without static keyword is called instance variable. Right. Now, Shekhar, you repeat what is instance variable? The class outside the method
Outside the
without
method
using
without
using static keyword is called instance variable. For example, you observe. I'm opening a program which we are writing yesterday. Since yesterday I'm opening one program. You recognize, I'll declare two variables. You guys try to recognize which is instance variable, which is a local variable. Right. Right. 1 minute. Now here I have a question is here do we have program in this program, do we have any classes right now?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Program class.
Program?
The class.
Any method? Okay, fine. Now you see
Main method.
into x and into a into a. Now x and a. What is x and what is a?
X is a instance variable and A is local variable.
1 minute.
Local variable.
Yeah, 1 minute. Arun, you find which is x is what variable? Arun,
X is local, sir.
I'm telling you again. What is local? What is instance? I'll tell you again. A variable which is declared inside the class, a variable which is declared within the method. Within the method is a local variable. A variable which is declared within the method is a local variable. Okay. Within the
Okay.
Okay, a variable which is declared inside the class and outside the method and without using static keyword is called instance variable. Here I declare two variables. Here main is the method and program is the class. Okay, so my question is A is what variable?
A is instance.
Local. A is local.
Yes.
Local.
X
One
is
minute.
instance.
A is a local variable because it is declared inside the method. Which method? Main method.
Main method.
That's why it is a local variable. And x is not local variable because which you declared inside the class and outside the method. Inside the class means program class. Outside the method, it's not part of the method. That's why, and without using static keyword. That reason you can say that
Okay.
x is a instance variable. X is a instance variable. That's why it is called x is a instance variable. Now I'll give you one more consideration. You see, class C1, and suppose something called I have written like this, M1, M1. Here my question is, now Arun, here what is the C1 is what? What is M1?
C1 is class.
M1 is
M1 is local variable.
no method.
Method.
Oh, method.
So method. Always you remember whenever it has this parenthesis part called this brackets part is called signature. Whenever it is there for that is called method. Method only will have that part signature. We'll call it as. Here you can observe main method has like that. Now here M1 is the method. C1 is the class. Now into I and into J. Yeah, now Arun, you tell me what is I, what is J? Both are variables, no doubt about that.
Variables.
I is what variable, J is what variable? I
I
is
is
instance variable, J is local
instance.
variable,
J is
J is local variable.
local.
I is instance variable and J is local variable. Okay.
Local.
Why? Because I you declared inside the class and outside the method without using static keyword. Without using static keyword. And coming to the J is what variable?
Local.
J is a local variable. J is a local variable because which you declared inside the method. Okay, right. Now again come back. Yes.
Sir, so in your book it says local variable is inside the method and outside the class. So that outside the class is a typo there?
Might be it was a mistake, typo error, I think. Okay, I didn't check it, but you remember the statement. Local variables means a variable which is declared inside the method is called local variable. Okay, now into k is a local variable. Why? You declared inside a method. Okay, and instance variable means a variable which is declared inside the class and outside the method. Inside the class and outside the method. Now into, yeah, g is a, now right now which variable?
Instance.
Instance, because it is declared inside the class and outside the method. It's not part of the method, it's out of the method. Inside the is instance, but there is no static keyword. That's why instance variable. Coming to the static variable, a variable which is declared inside the class and outside the method by using static keyword. By using static keyword is called as static variable. Is called as static variable. Again, I'm telling you, a variable which is declared inside the class and outside the method, inside the class and outside the method, and by using static keyword is called static variable. Is called static variable. Okay, so I am writing definitions because we are getting confusion, it seems. A variable which is declared inside the method is called as local variable. Right, a variable which is declared inside the class and outside the method. A variable which is declared inside the class and outside the method without using static keyword is called as
Instance
variable. And coming to static variable, a variable which is declared inside the class and outside the method by using static keyword is called as static variable. Is called as static variable. Come on. Right, all of you guys go through it for 2 minutes. Right, over all of you.
Yes, sir.
Right, right. So that is called what? Instance variable, static variable, like that. Okay. Right. Okay. Right. Bhaskar, you tell what is local variable?
A variable which is declared inside the method is called as local variable.
Okay. How do you tell what is instance variable? Girish, you tell what is instance variable?
A variable which is declared inside the class and outside the method using static keyword is called instance variable.
Without static keyword.
Again.
Without static.
What is that? Repeat.
Sorry, without using static keyword.
Again, repeat the whole statement.
A variable which is declared inside the class and outside the method without using static keyword is called instance variable.
Madhuri, you speak. You explain what is static variable.
A variable which is declared inside the class and outside the method by using static keyword is called a static variable.
Right.
So I was reading instance variable.
Right. Okay. Now you guys, you tell me. Into I. Okay. Static into J. And into K. Into K. Okay. Right. Now, Neha, tell me I and J, K. In this, which is instance variable? Neha.
I.
I.
I is what variable? I is
Instance variable.
I is an instance. I is an instance.
Oh, great. What about J?
J is
J is
static.
static.
What about K?
Local variable.
Local variable.
Local.
Enough. To our discussion. This is about what variables. Now let's try to understand about method. But before that, I'll tell you one note. The note is class is a logical representation. Means when you define a class, no memory will allocate for class members. So for class members, the memory will allocate at the time of creating object. Finally, you can say class is a logical representation and object is a physical representation. For example, laptop is a class. My laptop is one object. Your laptop is one object. And your friend laptop is another object for laptop class. House plan is a class and my house is a object of that house plan class. Okay. Employee is a class. John and David are objects of employee class. Like that, class will not have any physical representation. It's a logical representation. You remember, the memory will allocate for class members at the time of creating object. Human being is a class and we are all objects of human being class. But can we touch human being? Human being is a class. We are all objects.
No.
Can we touch human being? No, it's a logical representation. You can touch Rama, you can touch Sita. These are all objects of human being class. With this we can say, so object is a physical representation of a class. Class is a logical representation. Okay, mobile phone is a class. My mobile phone and your mobile phones are objects of mobile phone class. Okay, like car is a class. My car and your cars are the objects of car class. Okay, like that. That is a story. But here we need to understand one more important point about what methods. Methods or behaviors. So when we will go for method, all these things we have seen already. Now let's try to understand about syntax. Syntax to define a method. Syntax to define a method. Access modifier, return type, method name, access modifier, return type, method name. Okay, method name. Right. So what is this? Access modifier, public, private, protected, and so on. There are so many, 5 access modifiers are there. Up to that, one till we will get the clarity about access modifiers. we will use an access modifier called internal. You remember one thing, to define a class, don't use any access modifier for some time. Within 2-3 days, you'll get the clarity about that. Up to that, two rules you follow. One is, while defining class, don't use any access modifier. And while you are defining a method, use an access modifier called internal. Internal. Okay, just remember that. And return type and method name, syntax, return type, method name, and this is called signature. Signature of the method may contain what? Parameters. Parameters. What is parameter? Everything I'll discuss now. Don't worry. Only method discussion will take maybe today and tomorrow also. Only method. Till we'll enter into programming, it will take one more class, I hope. Yes. And type, again, parameter. Parameter. Okay. So let me explain to you all the people, and it will contain logic. First, I'll tell you. Method definition will contain two parts. One part is called method heading. Second part is called method body. Method definition will contain two parts. One part is called method heading. Second part is called method block. Method block or method body. Method heading. What a method heading will contain? Method heading. Which is called method heading in this? Yes.
The first line.
Let me explain. This is called method heading.
Method name.
Method heading. It's called method heading. Method heading. Heading. Okay. This is called method body. Method body will contain logic, functionality. Method heading contain access modifier, return type. Return type means again it is a data type. How we will write? I'll tell you. Method name. Name of the method. Name of the method that depends upon the method functionality. For example, this method functionality is calculating age. Then method name is cal age. For example, the method functionality is calculating result, cal result, like that. So now coming to this parenthesis part is called signature. The parenthesis part is called, it is called, signature. Signature. Which is called signature? This part. This part is called signature. Signature of the method will contain declaration of the parameters. Syntax to declare a parameter is data type, parameter name, in between you have space, comma, second parameter, data type, parameter name, like that. You will go with n number of parameters that depends upon your requirement. Sometimes you will define a method without parameters also. Okay, so the parameters will be depends upon your method requirement functionality. And this is the part is called, I said, method block, and this is the part is called method heading. Okay, right. Now come back to our discussion. Yeah, right. What is a parameter? First of all, what is a parameter? We have to understand what is a parameter. Any idea? Because here we are telling that parameter syntax, data type, parameter name, data type, parameter. What is a parameter?
Variable.
When we call a function and we pass certain values as arguments, those are called parameters.
Okay, right. Punya, tell me what is parameter? Punya. Yeah, Urmil, tell me what is a parameter?
Nature of the method.
Any idea, Urmil?
When we call that function, the parameter is passed as argument.
The variable which is
Some
declared
value
within the
variable.
method signature is a parameter.
Very good, very good, very good. Right. Let me explain. A variable which is declared, a variable which is declared uh, within the signature, a variable which is declared within the signature, this part called signature is called parameter. Again, yeah, again, parameter is nothing but local variable. Parameter is nothing but local variable. Why? Because this variable, it is a variable, nothing but a variable, but you are declaring within the signature. That's it. It is nothing but local variable because it is part of the method. It is a part of the method. That's why you can call it as a local variable. But if you declare that variable in the block, it's just local variable. But if you declare here, it's an argument or parameter, and as well as it is a local variable. Right? I hope you understood. Now, Snehal, you tell me what is a parameter?
Parameter is a kind of local variable that we declare in the syntax.
Not syntax.
Yes, signature part of the method.
Again, you all guys try to understand. Right. Few, are you getting audio? Again, any problem with you? Right.
Yeah,
Are you getting
I
voice?
can understand.
Now getting?
Not just now. Yeah.
No. In between, sometimes I am stopped. This is called what, guys?
Signature part. Signature part.
This is called what? Name. This is
Method.
return type. This is called method block, method body. Okay. Right. What is a parameter? Parameter is nothing but a local variable. A variable which is declared inside the method signature is called parameter. Next point is y parameter. And one more point, parameter other name is argument. Y parameter. Next question is why, what is the importance of a parameter in the method?
So the kind of input values to make
Value
the
some
logic
other method to the
executable.
Yeah, I'll ask one by one instead of answering all the people. Just right guys, Snehal, you tell me why parameter.
Parameters are kind of input values to the method logic to make it executable.
Yeah. Simple answer is to pass values to a function. Whenever you want to pass a value to the function, we need a concept called parameter. You need a concept called parameter. So next question is why we have to pass values to function. Why we have to pass values to the function. Why we have to pass values to the function.
To make the method logic executable.
Why we have to pass values to function? Answer is
Functionality.
To make the function reusable instead of declaring inside the function.
whenever that function.
What is functionality?
Function, 1 minute. Whenever that function means method. That function functionality required some value. Whenever that functionality required some value from outside. Whenever that functionality required some value from outside, we need to pass the value. For example, your method functionality calculating the 3 subject marks. That is calculating result, calculating the result of 3 subjects of student marks. Then how many values you need for that method functionality?
3.
What are they?
M1, M2, M3.
First subject, second subject, third subject. That's why to define that method you need how many parameters?
3
parameters. Okay, like that. Why we have to pass the value? Whenever why we have to pass means whenever that functionality requires some values from outside. So that is the story about parameter. Parameter is nothing but local variable. A variable which is declared within the method signature is called parameter. Why parameter? To pass the value to the function. Why we have to pass values to the function? Whenever that function functionality requires some value from outside. That is the story about parameter. Right. Okay. Let's go to the next level. Right. According to parameters, methods are two types. According to parameters, methods are two types. Number one, parameter less method. Number two, parameterized method. Parameterless method, parameterized method. Right. According to parameters, methods are two types. Number one, parameterless method. Number two, parameterized method. Coming to parameterless method. What is this parameterless method? Parameterless method. Method concept is very lengthy because whatever logic you are writing within the method. While defining a method, if you didn't declare any parameters, it is called parameterless method. No parameters. While defining a method, if we didn't declare any parameters, it's called parameterless method. Okay. When we will go for parameterless method. When
the function doesn't need any value from outside.
For parameterless method. Whenever the method functionality, when we will go for parameterless method, whenever method functionality doesn't require any value, from outside. Whenever a method functionality doesn't require any value from outside, we'll go for parameterless method. For example, you want to define one method called greet. Greet method is going to give a greeting called good morning, good evening, good night. For example, I want to define method internal void. What is void? Return type. I'll tell you about void. Wait for some time. Greet. The requirement is what? Want to give messages. Good morning. Console dot printing right line. Good morning. Let's say good morning only. Only one greeting. The greeting is good morning. Fixed the method. Whenever you call the method, you should display good morning. But is it required any value from outside this method?
No.
That's why we'll go with what method?
Parameterless.
Now coming to the parameterized method. While defining a method, if you declare parameters, it is called parameterized method. While defining a method, if you declare some parameters, is called parameterized method. Next, when we will go for parameter, when we will go for parameterized method. Answer.
Whenever method functionality requires.
Whenever method functionality, try to concentrate guys. Method is important here. Whenever method functionality required some value from outside. Then we will go with parameterized method. For example, I want to calculate 3 subject results of the student. Then internal void results I want to print. First class, second class. Cal result is a method name. And but the logic is what? Calculate result. result of 3 subjects. So how many subjects marks required from outside for this?
3 subjects.
Let's say into M1 or float. Let's say float into M2 or into M3. Into M3. No doubt here compulsory you need what?
3 parameters.
The values you need for it. That's why you are going with 3 parameters. In this way, as a programmer, you will take the decision to decide whether it is a parameterless method or parameterized method. Depends upon your requirement. And come back to this is the next model. Come back to one more point is according to one more consideration. This is types of methods based on the parameters. Again, according to return types, methods are classified into according to return types, methods are classified into 2 types. Number 1, void method. Number 2, non-void method. Number 1, void method. Number 2, non-void method. According to return types, methods are classified into 2 types. Void method and non-void method. Coming to void method. This is first classification is depends upon the parameters according to parameters. Parameterless, parameterized. Now one more classification. According to method return types, methods are classified into 2 types. Void method and non-void method. Void method and non-void method. Coming to void method. A method which is not returning any value. A method which is not returning any value is called as void method. A method which is not returning any value is called as void method. It's not returning any value, right? Void method return type should be void. Void is a keyword. It's a keyword. Should be void. Next, when we will go for void method, whenever a method is not returning any value according to its functionality, it is not returning any value, then the method return type should be void. For example, you take this example only. For example, For example, the method is just giving a greeting called good morning. Here you can observe that is this method is returning any value?
No.
No. People will feel that sir, good morning. Good morning it is printing. It is not returning. According to method functionality, method may print 100 things. But is it returning any value? No. Return means whenever you return a value, we have to use a jump statement called
Return.
Long back we discussed. So it's not returning any value. That's why here greet method return type should be
Void.
For example, next to consideration non-void method. A method which is returning some value. A method which is returning some value is called as non-void method. A method which is returning some value is called as non-void method. A method which is returning some value is called as non-void method. Non-void method return type should be based on the type of the value which is returning. based on the type of the value. Non-void method return type should be based on the type of the value which is returning. Means if the method is returning numerical value, then return type should be numerical data. See, numerical data type, that can be anything. Numerical means age. Suppose the method is returning age, then the return type of the method is, come on,
Numerical data.
come on, byte.
Byte.
The method is returning employee number, the method return type should be
Ulong.
The method is returning phone number, then the method return type should be
Ulong.
long. Suppose the method is returning employee name, the method return type should be
String.
the method is returning true value, then the method return type should be
Boolean.
suppose the method is returning A, then the method return type is char. Okay, suppose the method is returning salary, the method return type should be
Double.
double. Suppose the method is returning bank account number, the method return type is
Ulong.
long. Suppose the method is returning Aadhaar card number, then the method return type should be SSN. Otherwise SSN. Long. Right? Are you clear? Suppose the method is returning student marks, then the return type should be
Float.
marks means you can go with float. Okay. So that is the story about this. Non-void return type. When we will go with the non-void method. When we will go with the non-void method? Answer is whenever according to the method functionality, if the method is returning according to the method functionality, if the method is returning some value, then the method return type is non-void method. Your requirement is you want to calculate total marks. Finally, you want to calculate, the requirement is cal tot marks. My requirement is, listen, let me explain. Want to calculate total marks of three subjects and it should return total marks. Then calculating total marks, and but marks means generally not integer. Instead of that, better to go with float. Is also float. The total marks has to store into one variable. Float total marks equal to this value. The total marks has to store. Finally, it should return total marks. Return what? Total marks. Then the return type should be
Float.
Return type should be
Float.
Return type should be float. In this situation, we will go with which method? Non-void method. In this case, we'll go with what method? Non-void method. Non-void. Here, what is written? You can ask me. Return is a keyword. This keyword will return the given value. Sir, where it will return? It will return through the calling function. it will return to the calling function. So here some confusion is there. I'll show you the confusion. I'll rectify the confusion. Let me show with small example here. Let's assume you defined a class. You defined a class. Here you define a
Screen is hanged up, I think.
right. 1 minute. Internal. Let's say I'm showing here static. Don't confuse about static keyword. For some time you see M1. M1 is first method. It's saying console.writeLine. Hi. My question is M1 is a void method or non-void method?
Void. Void method.
Void. Why?
Void method. Not returning anything.
Not returning type.
Next to internal static into M2. Return 10. Return 10.
In the non-void function.
Non-void.
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 Why non-void? It's returning some data. 10.
It's returning. It's
10 numerical. 10 is a numerical data. Default numerical data type is what? Integer. That's why I said into. Okay. Over. Story completed. Totally in my class I defined how many methods?
2 methods.
two methods.
One void method. Second one is
Non-void.
non-void
Parameter.
method. Right. Because here why I am giving this explanation. Non-void method is returning value. I said it will return value. I said so. How it will return, where it will return, you need to understand. That's why I am showing this example. But actually, we will work with instance methods in the beginning. If you want to work with that, you need to understand object. We didn't touch object concept. That's why right now we are compromising with what? Static methods. Static keyword means it's a static method. Now first I will call M1. Whenever you want to call a method, you need to call from main function. C1.M1, C1.M2, like here my class dot, what is the first function?
M1.
M1. Okay, just only we will check this one. Forget about M2 for some time. Console.readline. You try to understand the program now. Right now in your program, you have how many classes?
2 classes.
Try to understand. In my last syntax, no, 3. Forget about console. We defined only 2 classes. First is my class. Second one is program class. That time first is C1 class. Second is C2 class. In my class, how many methods I defined?
2 methods.
M2. In program class, you have a method called
Main.
main. Main method right now I am calling one user defined method. What is that? M1. This M1 is a void method. Now let's understand how void method will execute first. Second, we will try to understand how non-void method will execute. Right. Now, whenever you run this application, what will happen? I'm going to explain tracing, again tracing story. Right, you observe. Program execution starts from, whenever you run this program, your .NET execution engine. What is .NET execution engine?
CLR.
CLR stands for
Common
language runtime.
yes. CLR will say command. CLR say main where are you? Main will say I am here. Then main method execution is started. First it will call my class.m1. Your control will go to my class, and in my class it will execute what? M1 where are you? M1 will execute. As part of M1 you have only one statement, console.writeLine. WriteLine will print what? Hi. And after printing hi, it will move the cursor to which line? Next line. It will move the cursor to next line. After this, control will again go back. But here no more methods. It will call which method this time?
Console.readline.
Readline method. The readline method is doing what? It's a predefined method holding the command prompt until user press and enter. Once you press it, it will leave you. Okay guys, so now this is the way you to call which method? Void method. Now let's call non-void method. My class dot, what is the second method?
M2.
What is it? My class dot M2. My class dot M2. Yes. Come back to this one. What is this M2? You know? Yeah. When you run this application, you can observe this time what's happening. You see. Whenever you run this application, program execution starts by main. My class dot M1. Control will go to my class. Will execute which method? M1. M1 will print. M1 will print what? M1 execution will say console dot write line of hi. And once it is encountered the closing brace of the M1, then control will understand M1 method execution is completed. Once it is completed, again control will go back to the main function and this statement execution is completed. Then control will invoke the statement my class dot M2. Here control will go to my class. Within the my class, it will execute a function called
M2.
M2. In M2, it will start from here M2. M2. Here what M2? What M2? Return 10. Here return is a keyword. Return that day, whether you remembered or not, jump statement I said. Yes, it's a jump statement. It will do what you know. It will return the given value called 10 to the calling function. Here calling function, which is calling function, which is this is called this is called calling function. This is called called function. This is called method definition is called called function. Method call, this is called method calls. Method call is called calling function. I am calling you. I am calling person. You are called person. Here it is calling statement is calling function and method definition is called function. So with that you can see what is happening here. With this what is happening, you know. So whenever you run this program, what is happening, you see. Right. What's happening, you know. My class dot M2. Control will call M2 function. M2 return 10. Then 10 will be written into this place. Now this statement is replaced with a value called 10. So non-void function will return the value to the calling function. Now that calling function statement is replaced with the returned value. And even though in this case control will not touch the opening closing brace also, that's why it is called a jump statement. Once a return statement is executed, control will not execute any other things in that method, even though it doesn't require, but just I'm telling you. But that 10 I want to print. That 10 I want to print now. Then the 10 I want to print now. Come on. Then
have to return that one to a variable.
Keep that value into a variable. We need to keep that value into one variable called, let's say, res. And then now console dot write line returned some message returned value is what? Res. Now you try to understand the flow. Now. Right. Compilation and execution. Right. Compilation and execution. Right. Okay, guys. Right. Now you can observe what is happening, the flow of this application. Whenever you run the application, program execution starts by main. my class dot m1. Here it will call m1. M1 will print what? Hi. M1 will print what? Hi. Console.WriteLine will print hi. And after this, it will encounter the closing brace, means method execution is completed. Control will come back to the main method, and this main method execution is completed. Next, after this, control will execute second statement. In the second statement, you have LHS, you have RHS, you have assignment operator. First, what will execute here? RHS. Second, LHS. Third, assignment. According to RHS, it is a method call. It is a method call. What it is doing? My class dot m2. Here it is calling a function called m2. As part of this, control will go to m2, and m2 method is executing, and m2 is returning a value called 10. M2 is returning the value called 10. So return 10. The 10 will be returning, the 10 will be returning to here, and here RHS will contain a value called 10. Instead of method call, the method call replaced with a value called 10. Next, control will execute LHS. LHS will create a variable. Next, control will execute assignment operator. That assignment operator will assign the RHS value into LHS. This is a story. Now, where is 10? Within the next control.WriteLine. Returned value is printing. WriteLine returned value is RES. RES is what? 10. Again, console.readline. Readline is holding the command prompt window. Once you press enter, it will leave. This is the story. That is the reason why I have given this much explanation, to give you the clarity about this return. That day, at the time of jump statements, we didn't discuss about this. That day I told to you very clearly, this return jump statement we will use in non-void functions. It will come in OOPS. Now it's covered in OOPS. I hope you got it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right. That is the story. That is the story. To explain this, teacher need patience, patience, and student also need lot of patience, I'm sure. Then only we both will get what results. And teacher should have an intention that I have to justify for the student. That type of intention teachers only can teach this type of subject. Otherwise, blah, blah, blah. Final syllabus will complete. You will tell to all the people, I completed .NET. Right, let's attend interviews. I'm sure at the time of attending interviews, you may get a job, but at the time of work, you will not feel that much comfort in coding. Okay, right, come back to our discussion. Right, this is the story about void and non-void functions. Now go back to the next category. That is up to here, parameterized method and parameterless method, void method and non-void method. All these things will be there in both programming approaches. Both programming approaches means these concepts you can see in procedural oriented approach, in objective, in both approaches. Even though in C language also you can see parameterized method, parameterless method. In C language you can see void method and non-void method. But according to OOPS special, according to OOPS, methods are two types. Again, methods are two types. Try to understand. According to the parameters, methods are how many types?
Two types.
One is
Parameter.
according to the written types, methods are how many types?
Two types.
Void and non-void.
Non-void.
Now, according to the OOPS, methods are two types. According to the OOPS, methods are two types. Yeah, what is that? Number one is called instance method. Number one is called instance method. Number 2 is called static method. Number 1 is called instance method. Number 2 is static method. Coming to the instance method, while defining a method, if it didn't declare any static keyword, it is called instance method. Instance is nothing but object. Means while defining a method, if you didn't use a static keyword, that is called instance method. An instance is nothing but object.
Okay.
Example to define instance method is internal void display. You can say it is an instance method because here you didn't use anywhere static keyword. But how to invoke instance method? How to invoke or how to call instance method.
By creating an object of specific.
Right, what is that? Syntax. Object name dot method name. Means whenever you call instance method, the syntax is object name dot method name. You have to call instance method with the help of what? Object name dot method name. That is the syntax to call which method? Instance method. Coming to the static method, but we didn't discuss object till the time, but you remember, you want to call a instance method, you need to call with the help of object name dot method name, the class object. Next, coming to static method. While defining a method, if we have used static keyword, which is called as static method. While defining a method, if you use the static keyword, that is called static method. For example, internal static void something called show. Show is a static method. Till the time whatever methods I defined all are here. What methods these are all?
Static.
Static.
Static method. Static methods we have to call how to call static methods. Answer is class name dot method name. Okay, class name dot method name. Okay, so that's why you can observe here class name dot method name. Here how you are calling M1 and M2, you are calling with the help of class. My class M1 and M2. My another question to you all the people, have you seen any other static methods?
Main method.
Yes.
Main method is a
Is also static. Okay, forget about main. Other than main method, did we call any static methods?
console.
Yes. Right line.
Right.
Read line. How you are calling? Console dot write line. Console dot
Line.
predefined methods. But these predefined methods also. What methods? These methods are defined by Microsoft.
Static.
These methods are defined by the Microsoft as what? Static. These methods are defined by the Microsoft as static. You can see right line method definition I am opening. This method defined by the Microsoft with the help of which keyword? Static. Within a class called, what is the class name? Console. Within a class called console, that's why you are calling console dot write line. Even the read line is also defined by the Microsoft as with the help of static keyword. That's why within a class called console, that's why we are calling console dot read line. This is a story about instance methods and static methods. Okay. Now we need to understand about memory allocations. we need to understand about memory allocations. Memory allocations that we'll see tomorrow. Tomorrow memory allocations and later memory allocations will demand us to understand about object. Once we understand about object, tomorrow your OOPS coding will start again. But OOPS coding will be very easy once you understand all these concepts today and tomorrow. And meanwhile, you better advise to all the people, complete your pending assignments, whatever you have in logical programs, because again in OOPS you will start assignments from tomorrow onwards. And as well as other advice to all the people before coming to the class. At the time of logical programs time, I didn't ask you to come with preparation, but now onwards in OOPS, it's a concept. Concept means I will teach or somebody will teach. Concept is concept, standard it is. So the way of the explanation may be different. That's why what I am telling you, there is no surprises here. That's why that concept, if you will refer once and will come to the class, at the time of my explanation, it will reach you like anything. That's why you go through whatever I covered in the book, you go through it, and the next coming 5 pages you refer and come to the class. Then class will go very fast and you can also catch like anything. Did you understand what I'm telling you? Yeah.
Yes.
Tomorrow while you are coming to the class, next 5 pages, you can check in the book memory allocations heading will be there. From there you can go through coming 3 to 5 pages, you refer like a newspaper and come. Right, okay, that is a story about this. Okay, now, right. Okay,
I have a question.
thank you very much, and whoever want to talk to me, wait, remaining people can leave for the day. Thank you. Bye to all.
Yes, sir.